Hi, friends. I'm Emily Lay, and you're listening to the Simplified podcast. If you want to let go of perfection so you can enjoy this season at your own pace, then welcome. I'm glad you're here. Every week, I invite you to slow down and join me to explore practical ways to organize and automate the complicated parts of life so you can focus on what truly matters most. If you're still looking for a last-minute gift for a friend or mom or mother-in-law, you can still pick up a Simplified gift card. You can print it out and tuck it into a mug filled with peppermint Hershey Kisses, or send it right to her email and tell her some of your favorite Simplified products you think she'll love. Go ahead and check it off your list. You can get a Simplified gift card right now at emilylay.com. Welcome to the show today. If you're listening to this right when it comes out, then Christmas is just a couple days away. We've been doing so much planning and prepping and shopping and wrapping and baking for so long, I can't believe it's almost here. You know what's so fun about this time of year? When all the hard work you've done slowly comes together as you approach the big day. It's time to stop working and start doing what the holiday is meant for. It's time to just be with your people. No matter how big your gathering is going to be this year, there's always something so special about the time you get to spend together with your family. Whether they're people you're related to or the family you choose. Catching up with siblings you haven't seen in a while, making cookies with your mom, watching your kids open gifts, sharing some cocoa with your 6-year-old niece with extra marshmallows, of course, because you're the cool aunt. It's so much fun. At some point during all of the present unwrapping and food making and food eating, there's got to be some downtime. You'll be looking for things to do. And when you have people with different ages and interests all under the same roof, sometimes it's hard to know how to bring everyone together. But you know what's always worked for me? Popping in a good movie or breaking out a great game that everyone can participate in. I've found those moments are where some of my happiest holiday memories have been made. I think it's because for a few precious moments, everyone's attention is gathered around the same place. It's pretty hard to come by, isn't it? As I start to gather ideas on how to bring my people together around one game or movie, I always find myself asking the same question. Which movies are appropriate for everyone to watch, but go beyond a silly movie that only the kids will enjoy? And which games allow everyone to participate and have fun, no matter if they're 5 or 75? I don't think you could ever have too many ideas about this, so I've gathered some of my favorite movies and games for you today. Feel free to use these as a jumping off point for your own holiday gathering. And of course, because we're so close to Christmas, many of these suggestions are going to be holiday themed, but if you're listening to this episode another time of year, stay with me because I've got some ideas that'll work for you as well. Plus, you guys know how I feel about the Notes app. I use it to keep notes and ideas all year long. If you're feeling extra productive today, you can jot down some new ideas for your family to try when the holidays roll around next year. Look at you being productive way in advance. If you're driving or jogging or doing the dishes, don't worry about writing all this down right now. We'll have everything we mentioned today in the show notes at emilylay.com/podcast. So, here we go. Here are some movies and games that'll bring your family together. All right, Christmas movie classics everyone will enjoy. Listen, we love a good Christmas movie night at the Lay House, especially some of the classic animated movies that were staples of my childhood. You could watch one of these a night leading up to the big day, or you could watch them all on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. Some of my favorite classic movies for kids that hold up really well for adults are The Grinch, of course, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and A Charlie Brown Christmas. Christmas movies that the 80s and 90s kids loved. Now, there were some Christmas movies I loved as a kid that came out during my childhood and became a staple of a millennial's Christmas. I always liked A Muppet Christmas Carol, Home Alone. Seriously, that's one of my kids' absolute favorite movies ever, not just Christmas time. The Santa Claus, and Elf. And I would say that the movie Elf probably ranks right up there with like my top 3 favorite movies of all time. Don't judge me. It's so funny. These have been so fun to introduce to my kids too. When I watch them enjoy things I loved as a kid, it's just a cool full circle moment. All right, next, when your kids are getting a little older, they might appreciate some of these movies a little bit more. So we're going to talk about Christmas movies for older kids and up. It's a Wonderful Life. If you need something this season to restore your faith in humanity, this movie will do it. A Christmas Story. You know, the one where the BB gun and the kid that gets his tongue stuck to a pole? That movie is hilarious and timeless. And of course, there's always Hallmark movies. They're age appropriate for everyone and especially fun to binge with moms and teen daughters and nieces. You can even find Hallmark bingo cards online if you want to have a little more fun with it. You'll mark off things like a festive sweater sighting, a Santa in disguise, someone drinking hot cocoa, finding true love, life lesson learned. It's so fun. Okay, maybe you're Christmas movied out and you just have a good hankering for a good story. No problem. I've got some ideas for you. These are movies that work any time of the year. There are classic movies everybody loves, like The Wizard of Oz, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and Back to the Future. If your family is into musicals, then you might like movies like The Sound of Music, The Muppets. Now, I'm talking about the 2011 movie with Jason Segel and Amy Adams. It's so cute. It's so fun. You'll feel great at the end of it. And Hamilton. Now, caution, Hamilton earns its PG-13 rating with language and some suggestive material, so I want to drop that caveat, but it is so, so good. We love the soundtrack. Also, who doesn't love a Pixar movie? Maybe you rewatch an old favorite or discover a new one like Toy Story, Monsters, Inc., The Incredibles, WALL-E, that's a really cute one, Up. If you can get past the first 5 minutes, I know you can. Up is so cute. It's so good. Inside Out, which we actually talked about on a recent episode of the podcast. Luca, very cute, is a new one. And Onward. Onward is a very good one too. Okay. All of those are good. Maybe you want to introduce your kids to one of your favorite epic sagas that has like multiple parts to it. With all the extra time you have right now, this is the perfect time of year to do it. Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Harry Potter. Oh my goodness, I love a good Harry Potter binge. It's just so good. Lord of the Rings is another option. Maybe your family loves a good TV binge. And I can't say I blame you. I do too. I've got a few ideas of what you guys could watch. I am obsessed with Gilmore Girls. So depending on the age of your kids, that might be a good idea for them, might not. Just do a little research. But Gilmore Girls is so good. It's so good. It's so cute. I kind of want to like start the entire thing over again because it's just amazing. A couple other things that are loved by everyone. Sherlock. If you haven't seen this, then just get ready because your brain's going to explode. It's Sherlock Holmes reimagined for the 21st century in the most fascinating way. You'll be solving puzzles right along with Sherlock, and I bet you can't watch just one. The BBC nature series called Planet Earth, trust me on this, it is beautifully shot and super compelling to watch. And then, a lay family favorite, The Great British Baking Show. There is no better food show or competition show than this one. It's set in the English countryside, there's cake, and everyone is so nice to each other. It is a delight. There are a few series that moms and sisters-in-law and teen daughters and nieces will love. Guys love these too, of course. They just don't admit it as quickly. I'm talking about shows like Downton Abbey. Oh my goodness, my mom and I watched Downton Abbey together, albeit we lived in different cities, but we would watch them and then text our thoughts back and forth. My mom may have dressed up and worn pearls to the movie premiere a couple years ago. We take it very seriously here. The Pride and Prejudice miniseries with Colin Firth, Anne with an E on Netflix. This is such a sweet, endearing retelling of Anne of Green Gables, plus it's filmed on Prince Edward Island on the easternmost edge of Canada, and it's breathtakingly beautiful. Okay, maybe you guys are into sci-fi. You might like Stranger Things. I'm going to put another caveat on the rating for that one. Check that one out before you go watching it with your 5-year-old. But great show. Brian and I watched that one. Doctor Who. There are a zillion episodes of Doctor Who. I bet you won't be able to get through them all. And if you have teens or older, maybe you need to zone out with a good comedy series. I know you can get a few laughs from The Office, Parks and Rec, The Good Place, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. As for teens and up, there are a couple shows that are so well told that it's hard to tear yourself away from watching them. Things like Friday Night Lights. You will fall in love with every single character on the show, I promise. All right, we are going to get into games now. So in the Lay house, we love some friendly competition. One of the things we do every year is a gingerbread house competition. What we do with this, we pair off into teams. Usually we have one kid on each team, well, sometimes two, depending on how many kids are around, and we decorate gingerbread houses. This is the funniest tradition at our house. It evolved from and if you listen to the episode where my mom joined me and we talked about the holidays, we told a little bit how we do this, but The way it happens is we divide into teams. Right now, with how many kids are in our family, we divide into 3 teams. And then each team will build a gingerbread house. We buy the kind that are pre-made where you just have to, we hot glue them together so that that's not a hindrance. And we hot glue them together. Everyone has the same house. And then each team, well, it's been different every year. Like one year, my mom bought all the accessory candy, like that kind of thing, and we all had to use what was there. Then last year, we actually started scheming beforehand when we knew our teams. We usually draw our teams at Thanksgiving. And we were allowed to go out and like get our own candy, our own decorations and whatnot. One year, I believe it was my brother Brett, my husband Brian, and Caroline. I think it was Caroline. I can't remember. Anyway, they made a Whataburger. I am not kidding you. So the gingerbread house competition gets really intense. We post them on social media without saying whose is whose, and we let people vote on who wins. And there is a trophy involved. You can also play Name That Christmas Song. Divide up into however many teams you like. Usually 2 to 3 works best. Somebody sets up a Spotify playlist of classic Christmas songs and plays the first 2 or 3 seconds of it. Each team takes turns answering first. If the first team can't answer it, the next team gets a chance to answer it and so on. Whoever answers correctly receives a point. P.S. If you need a Christmas playlist, I've got one ready for you. Just Google Emily Lay Christmas Spotify playlist and it'll be right at the top. You could even do a holiday twist on classic games like charades and Pictionary. You could do Christmas movie charades, where every suggestion is a classic Christmas movie character, or Christmas song Pictionary, where every drawing prompt is a line from a classic Christmas song. This gets the creative juices flowing and just makes it fun because it's themed. If you've got little bitty ones in your family, you might want some games where you can get your whole body moving as you play, get some energy out. And I bet they'd like something like Pin the Heart on the Grinch. Have the kids draw or print out a Grinch and cut out some paper hearts. Get some tape or sticky tape, grab a blindfold, and prepare to laugh. A candy cane hunt. This is like a Christmas version of an Easter egg hunt, and who doesn't love that? Jingle bell toss. Get a package of jingle bells and place some cups or bowls on the ground. Have a player stand a few feet away and try to toss one bell at a time into the cups. This is kind of like holiday cornhole, and bonus, it's inside, which is helpful if it's freezing or snowy outside. Stocking guessing game. Okay, this is a fun one. Grab a couple small objects that can fit into a stocking and have different sizes and textures. Things like a Lego, a paper clip, a toy soldier, a small ornament, piece of bread, a piece of dry sponge, aluminum foil, wrapping paper, Christmas cookie, whatever. Players sit in a circle, and whoever is in charge places an object into the stocking and passes it around to the players. Each player reaches in and tries to guess what the object is without looking at it. This is doable for all ages and abilities, and it's really fun to play. Of course, there are always board games like Monopoly and the Game of Life. Side note, these games are long, so make sure you've got a lot of time on your hands. Clue, Yahtzee, and kind of an offshoot of board games, you could play a stacking game like Jenga. My kids love Jenga. And maybe a game of dominoes. And even little kids can get on board with card games. Some of our favorites are Uno, Skip-Bo, and Phase 10. If you need something that a lot of older kids and adults can play at once, I have a couple ideas for you as well. Jackbox games. These are really cool because everyone can use their phone to play along, which makes them great for big groups. They have all sorts of games too. Some games you draw, others you come up with silly answers. These games are geared toward older kids and adults, but some games do have a family filter to make them more appropriate for everyone. Just Google Jackbox games to find out how to play. And of course, there is the Christmas classic, White Elephant, or Dirty Santa, or Yankee Swap, or whatever you call it where you're from. Many a Christmas memory and rivalry has been made from a silly white elephant gift exchange. I'll tell you what, the sillier you get with your gifts, the more memories you'll make. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. Did you get some good ideas? I hope so. There are tons of ways to bring your family together during the holidays, and I know I'm not even scratching the surface here, but I'd love to hear about games and movies your family can't get enough of. The Instagram post for this episode is over on my account at Emily Lay, and it's going to be an open board for all your ideas. So head on over there and leave a comment. We could all use a few more ideas of ways to bring our people together. As we close out this episode, I would like to pray a little blessing over you as we leave this time together and get back into our days. As you gather your people this season, I hope you create memories that'll bring a smile for a lifetime. I hope everyone in your celebration feels safe and seen. I hope you take a few minutes to remember how blessed you are to have people to laugh with. And I hope you remember the love that holds you here on earth and up above, this day and always. Merry Christmas, everyone. As always, I like to leave a little tip to help you put what we've talked about today into practice. Here's your task for this week. Does your family play a lot of board games? Do you find yourself having to sub in a random item from the junk drawer to replace a missing token, or making a homemade Park Place card for your Monopoly board? If your board game has a ton of pieces that aren't so organized, try buying one small reusable bag with a zipper on top to store those loose game pieces in, instead of having them rattle around at the bottom of the box. I don't know what it is about all the little board game pieces, but those things like to travel. Keeping all of those pieces in a zip-top bag, or even in a few different bags if your game has lots of pieces, might take a second longer than tossing everything in the box, but when you come back to play, everything will be in its place, and it will be easier for the fun to start. Thank you for listening to the Simplified podcast. I hope today's episode gave you a few ideas to bring more joy and laughter to your family this season. You can find show notes for this episode at emilylay.com/podcast, where you can check out the links and resources I mentioned here, and you can shop the Simplified brand of planners and products. Plus, for more simplicity tips, you can find me on Instagram at emilylay and at Simplified. If you're loving this show, then I bet you might like my latest book called Growing Boldly, Dare to Build a Life You Love, which is in stores right now, wherever you buy books. Okay, last thing, thank you so much for rating and reviewing this show and subscribing to it. That really helps us find new listeners, and I'm so grateful that you guys are spreading the word about it. If you haven't had a chance yet, would you do me a favor? Would you go over to Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast provider and rate the show, maybe even leave a review? It's a small thing with a big impact. Thanks for doing that. You're the best listeners on the planet. P.S. I've got some special podcast surprises for you next week. So as you're enjoying a quiet week next week and planning for the new year, I have a few things that'll help you get started with that. So make sure you're subscribed to the show so that you can follow along with the fun. And until then, I hope you have a very Merry Christmas. I'm so grateful for you. Bye.